Soccer fanatics are galvanized by discussing Messi and Ronaldo. Politics enthusiasts are galvanized by discussing Trump and Biden. And in a similar way, I am galvanized by the Teacher Talks. A gezellig camaraderie where we laugh, complain, and share experiences and ideas. Now, this is just one quote of a Teacher Talks participant that illustrates how much people liked the Teacher Talks. We would like to tell you about our experience at RBS with Teacher Talks. RBS is the department in our Hogeschool where we offer the English-taught International Business Program. Teacher Talks have proven to be a great way to connect with your teaching colleagues, be it in an online or offline situation, and also to have meaningful conversations about our daily teaching dilemmas. Teacher Talks are pedagogical conversations that teachers can have on everyday student-teacher interactions. As experiment in de werkplaats inclusieve pedagogiek en didactiek, we finished the first round of these conversations at RBS just before the start of the COVID crisis. In the academic year of 2021, we decided to offer new rounds of talks, only this time in an online setting. In this video, we will explain about the Teacher Talk method, the results of the real-life first edition of 1920, the results of the online second editions of 2021, and the difference between the two, and conclusions and recommendations for the future.
Teacher Talks uses a Socratic method to investigate pedagogical moments, those moments in class where you as a teacher have to react immediately and intuitively. There are 3 steps in a conversation. First, we zoomed in to clarify the case. Second, we formulated a heat point, what was at stake, and third, from the heat point, we zoomed out and exchanged experiences and perspectives. We felt there was a need for Teacher Talks, especially on the intercultural classroom, inclusion, and pedagogy. We have an abundance of different experiences in our team, and although, as teachers, we talk a lot, we do not often take time to sit down and truly reflect on our practice.
So at RBS, we did 2 rounds of Teacher Talks. Only the second round was done online. In this overview, you can see what the differences in implementation were. At the end of this presentation, we will share with you to what extent the differences in implementation affected the outcomes. Now, if you look at the 2 boxes, you can see on the left side of the screen the offline setup. So we worked with fixed groups of 9 participants that had 5 different nationalities, and people were given time in their PTD. Now, the program consisted of 6 meetings with these fixed groups of 2 hours, and all of this was paid for by the werkplaats IPD, inclusieve pedagogiek en didactiek, as an experiment. Moreover, there was research attached to it. So simultaneously to running the project, we had intake interviews, we had exit interviews, and we did observations during the Teacher Talks. Now, in the next online rendition during the COVID crisis, we decided not to work with fixed groups, but we decided to work with whoever wanted to join a particular teacher group at a particular time. And that meant that we had changing group compositions per session, and that a total of 20 participants of 14 nationalities joined us. These people did that in their own time, and they had 4 meetings per block during 2 blocks, and no official research was being carried out.
The first round of Teacher Talks was accompanied by a research effort. In the following slides, we will share some of the main outcomes of the observations and interviews we conducted. Looking at the outcomes on each of the focal points mentioned here, participants of the offline group saw changes. Through Teacher Talks, participants became more attentive to their role and impact as a teacher. Also, a professional connection was made. Recognition created confidence. And lastly, participants increased insights in the relevance of cultural and personal expectations when teaching.
More in detail, the interviews and observations of the research gave us the following reflections on the Socratic conversation method that we used. The participants shared several insights that they gained from the method, so read along with me for some reflections that participants left. First of all, it was concluded that it was fun and interactive and a meaningful way of exchanging information. So for instance, this colleague said that it was always fun to go. Another thing is that we saw that skills and attitudes practiced in the Socratic conversations were also helpful in class, such as postponing judgment and stimulating investigation. So for instance, this colleague said, normally you want to give a solution immediately instead of investigating the problem, but this method forced us to delve deeper into understanding the case. Now, thirdly, what we also found was that recognition of each other's problems created confidence. So this colleague, for instance, said that they noticed that they weren't alone with questions and considerations. We also saw that there was a spillover effect into the classroom. So, for instance, this colleague said that the method helped him gain control over his own reactions, and it created awareness of pedagogical situations and options on how to react. And finally, what we also saw that was that the exchange generated many practical suggestions, and it also caused the participants to reconsider their own positions on topics. So for instance, this one says that the remarks that people gave me during the class session got me to rethink my ideas, and another one said it increased my repertoire. Apart from being happy with the method, the participating teachers also made some powerful remarks on pedagogy, and more specifically the intercultural component of that. Nice examples of more general pedagogical insights are these, so please read with me. Teaching is not an easy profession. You should be ready to be ridiculed, to take in negative sides of students, to be belittled, humiliated at times. Sometimes you think you can change someone, but it's very limited what you can do. Therefore, teaching is about being a good role model for students, an example of how you want to be. What you show and do has a bigger impact than what you say. Or how about this quote? You get to know yourself. How do you react? Your pitfalls. You get on a deeper level personally. How do you react as a person? Because as a teacher, it's important to realize that what you're doing is mensenwerk. What you see as good or bad behavior in class, who you see as good or bad student, is related to your personal experiences and preferences. And here's another one. Teaching is related to being authentic. It means to let students know who you are, what you do, what your background is, and your learning and career path. Finally, also a remark that illustrates the importance of culture in our international classroom. So this participant says, culture is not only present in our reactions, but can also come back in our interpretations of situations. Bringing in my own case helped me to understand the relation of culture in my experience.
Now let's have a look at the online Teacher Talks.
Hello, my name is Sharon and I was a participant at the Teacher Talks. During the Teacher Talks, I had a really wonderful experience. I met colleagues who teach different subjects and we all got to talk about the things that happen in our classrooms. I was relieved to hear that I was not the only teacher who faced some challenges in the classroom, and I was also happy to hear that I was not the only teacher who had experienced very wonderful and lovely times in the classrooms with the students. It was really nice to get things off our chests. For example, how we deal with taboos, so-called taboos in the classroom. For example, when questions about sensitive topics come up. We talked about how we handle these situations and how we reflected on how we've handled them in the past. And in the end, it was just gezellig and we learned a lot.
Hi, my name is Ernest van der Giesen and I'm an IB teacher, marketing and a coach. And I was asked to participate in the Teacher Talks. What I very much liked doing the Teacher Talks is hearing what other colleagues actually did, how they experience things. There were some teachers that I thought, wow, they are well experienced. Much more than the experience that I have. And interesting enough, it was good to experience that they opened up, that they had their own struggles. And what I like about the Teacher Talks is the power of vulnerability. And I think when we understand the power of vulnerability, showing that we're human, that we don't know, that we face difficulties, and our dreams, also sharing dreams, our passions, then we can actually benefit ourselves, the quality of ourselves, the quality of our output, but also benefiting the students. Because it's always a combination between lecturer, student, and content. So if you get an invite, do participate. The power of vulnerability is understanding the power that you have inside of you.
For the online Teacher Talks, we used the same Socratic method and setup, only here there was no fixed group. All RBS colleagues were invited and around 20 teachers joined, some multiple times. Most participants were quite positive, as you can see in the reactions here. For us, we were a bit nervous about doing this online, but we were happily surprised that it was possible to have pedagogical Socratic conversations online as well. What participants valued mostly was the space to reflect. The collaborative analysis, shared experiences, and the fact that we were not rushing to solutions were appreciated, and these are typical points for a Socratic conversation. The conversations were personal and open, and as a result, meaningful connections with colleagues were created, re-energizing and much needed in online times. And last but not least, it was a lot of fun.
So, this is our explanation of the offline and online renditions of Teacher Talks. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to contact us through email. Hope to hear from you soon.